What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Slate. It is the Thursday sports edition, which means we're going to touch on a variety of things. We're not married to one singular sport here. We're going to go NBA draft as well as just some of the chaos that is happening already in the NBA offseason. You have to love it. We'll get to golf. The Travelers Championship is underway as of today. And of course, Game 5 of the Stanley Cup final is right around the corner. Colorado trying to close out the two-time defending champion Tampa Bay Lightning. Reid T. Fowler, Jeff Ulrich, they'll join us later. But right now, I am Adam Kaufman, joined by Julian Edlow. Jules, it has been, kind of a wonky couple of days. Today in particular, as it relates to the NBA draft. I know something you were touching on the Sweat this morning. You guys had the mock draft show yesterday as well. And the expectation, I mean, you look at the betting markets, you look at the DraftKings Sportsbook right now, minus 390. Jabari Smith is the favorite to go out of to Orlando out of Auburn with the number 1 pick. But of course, you know, we've had a little bit of bouncing around. You've had Chet Holmgren has been in the conversation. You've had Paolo Banchero has been in the conversation as well. Those are, you know, pretty much the consensus top 3. But talk a little bit about what's been going on here in terms of all the movement on the lines.
Yeah, so let me do my best to catch everyone up here. Just a rundown of the week. Cliff notes as quick as possible here. But for starters, like when Woj tweets something as he did at 9 a.m. that, you know, he believes the top 3 in the draft are set. 1, 2, 3 with Jabari Smith to Orlando, Chet Holmgren to OKC, and Paolo Banchero to Houston. That generally means these things get slammed into oblivion to like minus $1 million and then ripped off the board within 5 minutes. And that's the last we see of it because Woj just gave it to us. And that's obviously not the case here. So for the first time that I can remember, we have Woj not confirming, but saying what he believes and the market pushing back on it. And the one thing I'll say, if you look at the tweet closely, like he says 1, 2, 3 will be Jabari Smith to Orlando, Chet to OKC, Paolo to Houston. I guess he kind of leaves open that if there were to be some kind of swap with Houston going up to 1, that Banchero could still be the pick at 1, Holmgren to OKC, Jabari to Orlando in a different order, still in the top 3. I just don't know why Houston has to do that if like Orlando if they already know they're going to get Banchero at 3. Banchero has refused to work out for the Magic because he doesn't want to go there. So taking him number 1 would be pretty bold. Looking at the odds of it, you know, Jabari Smith was around even money around the lottery, got bet up to about minus 500 on DK Sportsbook over the course of a few weeks. And Chet Holmgren was the second guy. Banchero was about 20 to 1. And between Saturday and Monday, Banchero got bet down from 20 to 1 to about 2 to 1. Wherever that pushback came from, inside information that he could go number 1. From there, you know, we had some ESPN shows and Woj saying and other reporters saying they still believe it to be Jabari Smith, and Jabari Smith went all the way back to his minus 500 or so. This is like 11 o'clock last night. Jabari Smith's still around 1100. At 2 a.m., Paolo Banchero was minus 140 to minus 190 to go number 1. I don't know what happened, but there's clearly money coming from somewhere that seems to be firmly invested and have firm beliefs that Paolo Banchero is going to be the number 1 pick in this draft, despite Woj and other reporters going directly against that. So Banchero is the favorite now in the morning. I'm almost done, I promise.
No, it's fine. It's interesting.
Banchero is the favorite in the morning now. And Woj tweets out that top 3 one that I just kind of broke down. And that brings all the Jabari Smith money back in to the point that DraftKings goes off the board. Now, I rarely reference other sports books, and I won't tell you what sports book, but another sports book had Jabari Smith at minus 10,000 today. Minus 10,000, not minus 1,000. They opened up at minus 1,000 after the Woj tweet. It went to minus 10,000. After it was at minus 10,000, it came back to minus 135 with all the Banchero money coming in. That's like impossible. I've never seen anything like that. So here we are, DK off the board for a few hours. They reopen it, Jabari Smith minus 450 here, and we see it go up to minus 525. And now here we sit, come down from minus 525. You see it on the screen. I think we're screen sharing.
Yep.
Jabari Smith minus 290, Paolo Banchero
390.
Minus 390. Banchero plus 250. And here we are in what has become like a Woj versus the books top of the draft.
Well, I guess it sort of begs the question. We don't know, obviously, but if Houston can basically convince Orlando that or vice versa, pardon me, if Orlando can convince Houston that it's going to take Banchero number one, then you have kind of a, people like to reference what happened with obviously Philadelphia and Boston back in 2017, the Markelle Fultz year, when he went number one, the Celtics traded out of 1 going down to 3, when they said all along they wanted Jason Tatum, but picked up an asset along the way because they knew he'd be there at 3 after Lonzo Ball went to LA. Could we be seeing kind of a version of that right now, do you think, with Smith and Banchero as it relates to Orlando and Houston?
I guess. I mean, that's the comparison, and it's an easy comparison, especially since we're dealing with picks 1 and 3 once again.
Right.
I think the huge difference is that year Markelle Fultz, for some reason, was the consensus number 1 overall pick.
Sure.
Maybe not consensus is strong because the Celtics.
No, but I mean, for the most part, he was the consensus.
For the most part. And this year, I don't think we have a consensus. I think we have a lot of like draft analysts, which, or draft, mock drafters or whatever, which I don't even include myself in that group. But like, if I'm grading this draft and as a scout, like Jabari Smith is my favorite prospect. And we have a lot of guys like, Jonathan Givony and Mike Schmitz before he left ESPN to go into the Blazers front office, and Jeff Goodman and whoever saying that, Jabari Smith is their top prospect in this draft. So I guess it's close, but it's not to the degree that Markelle Fultz was. I don't remember the betting numbers on that, or if you could even bet on Fultz, but it was like,
well, I mean, and back then we didn't even have a sports book. So
right. Exactly. So it was Fultz there. Whereas the difference here with swapping 1 and 3 is there isn't a consensus 1. So it's confusing. It's confusing why Orlando could potentially get Houston to agree to this deal, wherein, Philly's case, it's like if you don't trade from 3 to 1, even if the Celtics get forced to stay there and take Jason Tatum, well, then somebody's going to trade for 2, or the Lakers are going to take Fultz at 2, and Philly, you're not going to get your guy Fultz. Like, there's reasoning there that just isn't here this time around.
Looking at, and like you said, like everyone's an analyst, an expert, whatever, everyone's got their opinion, just in terms of the prospects themselves. This doesn't relate as much to the betting market. We'll get back to that in a second, but I always like to look at the Ringer draft guide, the one that Kevin O'Connor's been putting out for years, does a great job with, obviously, and looking at comps that he and the Ringer team have among these, top few guys in the draft. Jabari Smith is compared to, two-way Rashard Lewis, a taller Harrison Barnes, Michael Porter Jr. Those are the comps listed. Chet Holmgren, Rudy Gobert with perimeter skills, Paolo Banchero, Chris Webber, or Julius Randle. I mean, if I'm going just off of that, if I'm not, watching a lot of college basketball and I'm just reading the comps, like Smith's the last guy of those 3 that I want to draft. So what makes him your favorite?
Yeah, I would say the difference there, and like I love Kevin. I was talking to him before Game 6 of the NBA Finals in Boston, and got some of his opinions. Like when he makes those comps, like there's a reason he lists several different players, and it's like due to specific pieces of their game. I don't want to speak for him, but and I don't have any specific examples, but if you go through the guide, like you'll see some comps of a player that's supposed to be drafted like 8. One of the comps is like a legitimate superstar, and the other is a role player. Just comparing certain things that they do.
Well, so what is it that makes Smith your favorite?
Yeah. So for me, like you look at Jabari Smith, people are talking about the length of Holmgren, and Holmgren's obviously longer. Jabari Smith looks like a little bit smaller of like an Evan Mobley, but that has perimeter skills. So like my comps for Jabari Smith, I'm looking, and this is a little lofty. I don't want to say he's going to be that good, but some combination of an Evan Mobley and a Jason Tatum for me. He's a good shooter. He kind of has the same type of release as Tatum, that same type of mid-range game that Tatum had coming out of Duke, with not quite as much, but a little bit of that length that Mobley has and some of that rebounding and shot blocking ability. So if you can hybrid like a poor man's Mobley and Tatum and put them together with the interior, with the, perimeter and paint skills, like that's my Jabari Smith, I guess, if that makes sense. And that's not to talk down the other two prospects because they're close. Banchero is like a Carmelo Anthony with a little more size, really good scorer, better on the block than people like think of. Like Carmelo will just pound smaller guys down in the post, and that's what Banchero apparently can do off the switch. Holmgren, who knows? He's a 7 foot whatever pencil that needs to put on some weight. He looks like Giannis coming into the draft, and Giannis put on the weight. Can Holmgren put on the weight, keep the shooting? I don't know. He's an interesting prospect. I have Jabari Smith above them both.
None of this is, a sure thing. It's always a crapshoot. Any draft, any sport. We talk about it all the time as it relates to the NBA. Like if we knew what we knew then, kind of thing. Well, Tatum would have gone ahead of Fultz. Kevin Durant would have gone ahead of Greg Oden. Michael Jordan wouldn't have been, would have been drafted first. Like you can give a zillion different examples. So obviously, your opinion is just one of the many that are floating around out there.
It doesn't matter as we see Jabari Smith bounce back up to minus 400.
Right.
My opinion doesn't matter. And we can talk about it and stuff, but remember the best draft betting advice I can give you is your opinion of these prospects does not matter. You need to take that out of it. And what are these GM's opinions on them, and scouts' opinions on them, because that's going to determine where they're going to go.
So before I do let you go, what kind of advice would you give to the people right now that are either sort of wrestling with what to do with, the number 1 overall pick, if they still wanted to make a bet, or if they wanted to hedge in the other direction, or just, wanted to get off of that altogether and look at, top 10 or play your draft position? Like we have a bunch of different options, obviously, that are available on the DraftKings Sportsbook. So what are, some of the best bets that you like?
So, I mean, this stuff the draft starts in less than 3 hours. Like all the good value is gone. If you're not stepping in now and betting on the first, second, or third pick,
right?
Like, I think I like Jabari Smith minus 400. I don't know if that's a good bet or not. What I will say is if you have a lot on either side of this, I personally, so if you read my articles, Twitter content, you have 3 units on Jabari Smith to go 1. I hope he goes 1. Personally, and I couldn't put this out because what am I going to tweet out a play at 2 a.m. last night? That wouldn't be fair to you guys that follow, but personally, I hedged up a little bit because I'm concerned about Banchero. So my advice would be, if you have a stance on the number 1 overall pick, try and take your opinion out of it. And I think we're in a really weird place to know who's actually going to be the pick. So try and if any of these odds that are currently on the board help you lock in Blake Wesley under 21.5 at even money yesterday. It's at minus 160. That's not an awful price. I think he can go in that 15 to 21 range. Fair price there. Jalen Williams is one that I put out today. I had him under 18.5. He's currently 15.5 at plus 110 for the under. This is actually a good one to talk about. I'll take the plus 110 for under 15.5, which is, we are where we are. He opened up in the mid 20s, and here we are at 15 on draft night. He earlier this afternoon was plus 700 to be selected by the Cavs on DraftKings Sportsbook. He's one of the few teams, or the Cavs are one of the few teams you can bet on the exact pick. He went from minus 700 to plus 150 to be selected by Cleveland. There has to be informed money there. So, and the Cavs have the 14th pick. So I'll say under 15.5 for Jalen Williams to somehow go there. Malachi Branham is a guy that you just don't see in the lottery in any mock drafts. He's set at 14.5. I put that out at minus 135 yesterday. It's up to minus 225.
Yep.
A lot of juice, but I really don't see him going in the lottery. And last 2 to talk about, again, ton of juice, but Ty Washington from Kentucky seems to be falling in this draft. He was 18.5. He's now 19.5 at minus 225 to the over. I don't see him getting in that top 20. And the last one to discuss, interesting, Shaydon Sharp, a number 1 prospect out of high school, went to Kentucky, didn't play in any games, barely practiced, did some warm-ups around the team. He hasn't played a real basketball game in 8 months. I think he can get into that top 7, which he can get plus 150 on. And one interesting note, the team picking 7 is the Portland Trailblazers, who just inherited an ESPN, just inherited Mike Schmitz from ESPN. So you can just go back and look at his draft content. He's really high on Shaydon Sharp. And this is the dude influencing these picks now. I know they just traded for Jeremy Grant. Maybe they can try and turn this pick into something for the future. I don't think OG Anunoby is enough, as Yahoo Sports reported that could be on the table. I think Shaydon Sharp has a pretty good chance to go 6 or 7 in this draft.
Last thing for you, because we do have to get to golf, so you can feel free to go quick with this one. But do you expect chaos? Are we going to, there's already been some sort of minor trades involving either late first round, early second round picks, but there's all sorts of, big names out there who are either disgruntled or could reportedly be on the move, what have you. Do you expect there to be anything really significant tonight?
I expect there to be chaos in the sense that this is going to be a wild draft, and like almost any outcome I'll be surprised by, because I have no idea what it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be chaos in terms of like superstars being thrown around and being traded. I think that's going to come later, because I think the Brooklyn stuff is real. I think Kyrie's going to leave, and I think then Kevin Durant's going to leave. And I think that there's other stars around the league that are going to be on the move, but not tonight.
Very good. Julian Edlow, keep an eye on his Twitter, because, he's one way or another, he's going to be entertaining as the draft gets going at 8:00 from the Barclays Center. He's going to have things to say, bets to make, and things to clue you in on as well. So stay tuned to him. And Jules, thanks for hanging out here with us for a little bit. We appreciate you.
It was just delightful, Adam.
Always is. We'll let Julian go. Reid T. Fowler's going to jump in and join us. We're going to get to the Travelers Championship here because, of course, round 1 is underway, and it's been an interesting round 1. It's still it's almost done. Some guys, Reid, are still out there on the course, but you've got Rory McIlroy, who is in the clubhouse at 8 under right now, the leader. Xander Schauffele, how about him? 7 under, tied for second with Martin Laird, who was not on very many people's radar, I would imagine, going into this thing. You've got JT. I'm gonna say it wrong. Poston.
You got it right the first time.
Poston, very good. He still has easy. It's draft information. Poston's still on the course. He's got 1 hole left, and the list goes on from there. A lot of guys obviously under to start this thing off. But who has surprised you so far?
Jordan Spieth, for the wrong reasons. He was at 1 point 5 or 6 over par. But I mean, when you take a look at who's surprising on the leaderboard, I think William McGirt, he hasn't been in our I know he's been on Jeff Ulrich's betting card way too often, but he hasn't been on any leaderboards or any golf tournaments on any radars at all. And I think he's at 4 under par. He might be around there. That's quite surprising. But like, other than that, right, Coffee, like, it doesn't, like, this was a tournament that post the US Open, you saw a lot of guys withdraw, a lot of guys going over to the Live Golf Series, and Rory has been this guy now that has taken on the mantle of being the spokesperson for the PGA Tour, rightfully so, right? I think he likes that moniker, he likes that position, but also, right, he's kind of now doing what he's doing is, once all this stuff comes up, this guy goes out and he shoots 8 under par. He's been doing this in the first round for quite some time, but like that's I'm not surprised at all with what Rory is doing. He's on an absolute tear. Short game is fantastic. He's ball striking it extremely well, and he can go out and he can shoot this score tomorrow. Having said that, though, the afternoon wave today has proven much more difficult than the morning wave, as you can see with the scores right now.
Poston's done, by the way, and another birdie. So he is 8 under, tied for the lead with Rory McIlroy, with what projects to hold overnight based on, who else is still out there. Obviously, Patrick Cantlay with a hole to go, but he's 6 under, so wouldn't expect him to catch those 2 going into tomorrow. Jeff Ulrich hops in, joins us as well, and I imagine plenty to say on the golf front. Well, Reid was just talking about Spieth surprising him the wrong way. Jeff, what about you? Who stood out to you on day 1?
Danny Lee withdrawing. That's not really a surprise, to be honest. Who else sucked? I mean, pretty much every player I decided to use. Mito Pereira +3. I think most people were surprised by that.
I wasn't.
I mean, well, you weren't.
No.
Did he finish at +3? Because at one point he was
You weren't
+6.
surprised that Mito Pereira shot +3. You saw a +3 round coming.
I know I didn't, not exactly at 3 over par, but I mean, this was your whole thing with Scotty Scheffler, not to the same extent, but how many times can you play Mito Pereira until he goes down and he shoots 3 or 4 over par in a round? Like, he's not going to continually shoot 6 under, 5 under, 6 under. Like Davis Riley was the same way. Like, Davis Riley was started off strong, and he was, I thought, oh, we got another 5 or 6 under round coming. And what does he do? He goes out and he shoots 2 under for the day, which could have been a lot better. Like, these things, you know, they go into waves. So yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised that he shot 3 over.
I hear you. I hear you.
I'm a little surprised by Cantlay. I don't know if I should be, but
Mito was kind of a chalky pick. Like, I think he was fairly popular, and because he's been producing. So Joaquin Neiman, kind of similar, +2. Neiman, Spieth, Pereira, those are the kind of the big shot. Sam Burns is working on a pretty terrible round 2, +1. I mean, it's a really easy course. So, but these guys have been playing a lot, right? I mean, like Reid said, I mean, we shouldn't be overly shocked that, like, you know, they're coming in a little bit cold. Eventually these guys are going to cool off for an event or two. So nothing to worry about long-term yet, but you know, those guys not producing this week. Scheffler cooling off a bit too. I mean, only 2 under. It sounds like harsh, but I mean, when Cantlay and Rory are up there and Xander, like, you know, I mean, that's what you have to do to keep pace in an event like this. So Scheffler's not out of it or anything, but he, you know, he might be due for like a T30 here or something.
from a you know, just a DK scoring perspective, you got Rory McIlroy 62 points, Cantlay 40.5. He's doing real well. You know, obviously Schauffele at 47.5. A lot of guys kind of in the mid 20s anyway. But yeah, I mean, it's really like, I don't know, some of the guys like Burns, who you mentioned before, Sam Burns, just 12 points, you know, disappointing people left and right. Plenty of get like Siwoo Kim is only at 14, Jason Day's at 8, you know, is it Neiman, who you mentioned before, 9.5. It's kind of a rocky start for some of the names that were a little rocky going into this thing.
This is what Kaufman does too, right, Jeff? I don't know if he texts you if you're playing in a competition. This guy like scoreboard watches on day one.
Oh, I do.
Oh, yeah.
I absolutely do. 100%.
And like this is, and like all joking aside, because that's a fool's errand. You should not, because especially in golf, because golf, so much of the points come from finishing position. So like everyone's like, it's like
I scoreboard watch for the sake of the cut though.
Yeah. Okay. But that makes, that's tomorrow, not today.
Well, look, you can miss the cut today.
Yeah. Koff says, I'm usually not this guy, but I'm in first place if it ended right now. But, you know, like if you take a look historically at the guys who have won this tournament going back right to 2010, Harris English was 4 back. DJ was 9 back. Ches Review was 1. Bubba was 7 back. You know, Russell Knox was 3 back. Kevin Streelman in 2014 was 7 back.
Yeah.
After the first round. So why I say that is you might say, look, Jason Day is probably out of it. There's much more going on with J Day.
Sure.
But like if the Scotty Schefflers, like if Spieth for whatever reason gets back to like even par, which I don't think is going to happen, but Spieth, Burns, Scheffler, Burns.
Spieth is done. We can
no, I meant
Scheffler.
Scheffler.
+6.
Spieth is done. Yeah, Scheffler, Burns. These guys
those guys are
who are 6-7 back. If you can get a solid number in the outright market or showdown, this is what you want to do, especially the guys who went out this afternoon that go on in the morning tomorrow. Yeah,
you mentioned Davis Riley too. Like, I mean, that -2, that'd probably be a guy I'll be looking. I mean, I already have a piece of him, so I don't need to. Your guy Finau's there actually battled back to -2 as well. So this is an event where guys will literally like shoot 69 and then like 61 the next day, right? We've seen some massive comebacks in the final round. It's just a course that's set up for scoring, but there's also it's a fun course because you can go and hit and make double bogeys on these holes just as easily as you can make like a birdie or an eagle. So there's a lot of swings at the Travelers. It happens every year. It's kind of it's a hard tournament, honestly, to sweat if your guy's not doing well, because you see all these other guys posting low scores and you're like what the hell is Sam Burns and like Spieth doing out there when Cantlay and these other elites are like -6 and making it look easy? But that's the kind of course this is. So my one player did play well today, Cam Davis. I'd keep an eye on him too. He looked really good today. He had a couple just 3 putts, or he'd be like 8 under right now. That's another live target I'd think about.
The guys that frustrate me aren't even like, I don't get frustrated by the guys that I never considered in the first place. You know what I mean? Like Martin Laird is not going to frustrate me, or like, Matt Neesmith, or like
frustrates me. So I had a first round leader bet on the guy.
Lobotomy or whatever, however it's pronounced. Like these guys don't frustrate. Guys who frustrate me are like Webb Simpson, who I'm like, do I, don't I, do I? And then ultimately I'll go the wrong way. Like today, I have 5 lineups with like 30 different guys, and Webb Simpson is not one of them. You know what I mean? Like that's when I get agitated.
Yeah, that's DFS golf in a nutshell. I mean,
Hank the Tank Lebioda.
Yeah.
Or if that's just like Jeff likes to pronounce Laboidia.
Look,
Lebiota. You're not new to this game, so I'm
get some Lebiota in your life.
You don't have to be new to it to still get frustrated by it.
Look, you can you're talking to 2 guys who historically bet losing golfers in Louis Oosthuizen and Tony Finau.
Remember, check all our picks here on DraftKings.
Reid's had
I tweeted this
second
out.
place finishes this year. It's actually
right. I
impressive.
tweeted this out earlier on Sunday that I have 9 runner-up finishes this season in outrights, and 2 of them in the majors. So, this is part of the game, is that you're going to get frustrated because
but that's a sign of being on the right guy. I mean,
yeah, but
I realize picking the runner-up, it's great, you're the first loser, but it's still like at least you're thinking the right way.
Yeah, process doesn't pay the bills though.
That's right. We're gonna put money in our pocket, Kaufman. You take the process.
I'm not saying that the betting golf is paying the bills, but it kind of is, right? So
it'd be nice if it would. Let's put it that way.
It'd be nice if it would, but at the same time, you can go, especially in these type of tournaments, right? Like Jeff talked about, you can bet a Sahith Theegala at plus 15,000, and he can shoot 4 or 5 under par on the first day. And you're like, oh, this is live. Like this is there's that aspect to it as well. That the JT Postons of the world, the Martin Lairds, CH3, Seamus Powers right there. I think he's at 3 under. Like these kind of guys you can get at deeper numbers are live at these tournaments.
Yeah,
right?
especially at events like this, right?
Yeah, Webb Simpson is would have been a fine call, but we didn't know if he was healthy or not. So
I very much considered betting Webb, and obviously I wish I had right now. But
what was the reason why you didn't, Jeff?
He just looked like he wasn't quite at high enough gear to win. I mean, look, he's only had 1 good round. This is his best round in 4 events. So let's not let's not do the parade thing yet. But it is a little frustrating because he was at a good number, and he's probably a guy you should just take a shot with. But yeah, I don't know. I think the biggest story of this is out of round 1, I actually hope the Rory McIlroy doesn't win, but for the fact, because I want to get him at a better number at St. Andrews. But are we Rory is basically might sweep the board for the second time in 3 events. It feels like we're in this stretch where we're getting all these top players, like JT won, Rory and Scheffler, doing his thing. I
don't know if we're getting all the top players.
Well, it was DJ Brooks. Do you consider those guys top?
No, fair. But I mean, there's some other guys obviously that bounced as well.
I don't care about the live. I mean, I'm talking about the cream of the crop and the top 5 guys in the PGA. Yeah. I mean, they're kind of sweeping the board lately. It's tough out there if you're really targeting mid-range golfers. So we can go through periods like this. So, I mean, I'm not going to give the tournament to Rory. There's just too much. I mean, JT Poston shot a 62 today. That's all you need to know about the course. There's low numbers out there for everyone, but Rory going into St. Andrews, man. Oh my God. I'm telling you, start getting your bets in now. I don't even care what the number is. If he's down to plus 700 by the time St. Andrews goes, I'll probably bet it. It's just, you're going to need to have at least a piece of that.
Can you go to the British Open right now?
Pretty sure it's plus 900 down to plus 900.
What is John Rahm? To your point, Jeff, if you're taking a look at that, what is Rahm at? Yeah,
Rory's at plus 900 right now.
Yeah, Rahm's at plus 1,000. If you're talking about top, cream of the crop guys winning, what has Rahm won? I mean, he won the Mexico Open. That's it, right? But he's been flirting, and look, his Sunday wasn't great last week.
I mean, if Rahm got up to 1,600, yeah, absolutely. I mean.
If you can get a nice little drift on that, I don't know how much he does. Maybe if Scotty wins or if JT Morikawa win the Irish Open,
Yeah.
Or one of these tournaments before the Open Championship, maybe you see Rahm go to plus 1,200, right? But like that might not be a bad bet as well to get him at 4 digits. Like he's also someone too that when you talk about cream of the crop and what he so far this season, like I wouldn't count Rahm out as well.
Rory to me right now just reminds me of Dustin going into the Masters in 2020.
Yeah.
Like it was so inevitable. Like he's just playing such a high level. But yeah, I mean, obviously, I don't know if you can get plus 1,000 Rory going into the Open, I would just take it personally. That's just the way it's feeling right now.
What are the bets that intrigue you guys here? Focusing here on the Travelers, obviously, if you're looking ahead to just, maybe you don't feel great about picking an outright winner right now, but as you can see, DraftKings Sportsbook, you got top 5s, top 10s. I mean, what kinds of bets would you be so inclined to make, Moose?
So I'm just going to get my up so I can see it better. But I mean, I mentioned Cam Davis.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's a player who can definitely go like shoot a 62 in round 4 or something like that. He's at plus 4,000. For a top 10, plus 25, plus 250. Yeah, I don't hate that at all. If you we're looking for a little bit more placing action, I guess. I mean, if you're targeting things like that though, like live bets, I would definitely go down the board because we're just going to see so much movement here. So like we mentioned a guy like Theegala plus 600 to top 10. That's potentially interesting. John Huh at plus 900 to top 10 is interesting. He's actually been striking the ball well. And then, where's my guy, Steven Yeager? Steven Yeager is plus 30,000 to win. He's plus 11,000 to top 10. And again, like Yager's a guy who could come in, shoot 63 in round 3 or round 4 or something like that. He gained 2 strokes on approach today. He actually lost strokes putting. He was 3 under. Like, again, do I expect him to win? No, but could he come through with the top 10, like plus 1,100? I mean, these are the guys you should be looking for in this event because there's going to be a ton of movement over the weekend.
What about you, Reid?
Yeah, that's what you got to look for. I think Luke List, he was 3.5 on approach and 1.5 losing on the greens. Look, there's a lot of comps. We talked about it yesterday with Emerson. There's a lot of comps, and Joaquin Niemann and Jordan Spieth might be, guys who don't play into this narrative, but Luke List and some of these other players are. And List right now is at 2 under. He's someone that could make some waves. But I mentioned it, like Scotty Scheffler, he's at 200. He's at plus 1,600. When was the last time we got Scotty Scheffler at plus 1,600? Even though he's 6 back of Rory, how many times have we seen this from Scheffler already? Like he did this last week where he started off, like way back in the pack. Yep. And then he was leading in like the 11th hour and he just couldn't make any putts down on Sunday. So, I mean, Scotty Scheffler plus 1,600, I might push Jeff over and run to the window and place that bet.
See, well, the Jules NBA draft watch party, and then we can have the Travelers weekend watch party with you guys. It'll be great.
Yeah.
Before we do let you go, and we are going to get out of here in a couple of minutes, Moose, while you're here, I want to make sure we hit on the NHL and Stanley Cup final, obviously. Very controversial last night, that overtime goal for Colorado. People still talking about it for all the wrong reasons. The 6, maybe even 7 men on the ice when that goal was being scored for the Avs. Nevertheless, can't go back and change it. Colorado up 3-1 in the series, 2-time defending Stanley Cup champion Lightning on the brink of elimination now. So what do you think here? We got game 5 tomorrow night. Avs are favored, no surprise there. They're going to be at home, chance to clinch the cup, hoist the cup in front of their fans. Do they finish the job?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they finished the job. Honestly, I've been right about everything about this series so far. So I almost I'm trying to find a reason to second guess myself, but pretty confident that we see Colorado win the cup at home, game 5. Ooh. I said this series, take Colorado in 6 or less, maybe even think about betting them in 5. I said take the under and Colorado to win last night. Yeah, maybe we got a little lucky in overtime, but you know what? Colorado had Kadri back. You saw the difference that make. They're going to have Kadri back again. Darcy Kemper played well. He rebounded. You give Nate McKinnon, with Kadri back and a confident Kemper at home ice, it's going to be too much, man. I think the Lightning, it's just finally caught up. They played so much hockey. I think they know that the Avalanche are just kind of like this unstoppable force. take the Avalanche to win in regulation. I like the Avalanche puck line plus 140. There's a couple other bets here that I can't remember off the top of my head, but if you really want some longer odds, team prop, you can go over Colorado 4.5 goals plus 270. I think the one thing about this game too, if Colorado's ahead late, like let's say it's 3-2, you're going to see Tampa pull their goalie with like 5 minutes left. So you could see multiple empty net goals, which would push the Colorado team total up. The other thing is if Colorado gets out early anyways, they're going to score like 6 goals. So I think Colorado over 4.5 goals plus 270 is actually a really nice bet. Obviously if Tampa wins, they win, but I think if Colorado wins, you definitely see them go over that. And then, again, I'm just, you want to bet. I mentioned Rory McIlroy plus 900. You want to bet to parlay with him and get those odds up? I've given you like 4. Just take some Avalanche sides here, man, because I'm pretty sure it's ending here in the next game. So
I haven't looked at this guy's player props, but just, as a fan, a big hockey fan that you are, obviously, and watching this thing and watching this guy on this stage for the first time, not that we didn't know he was great already, but has anyone impressed you more, during this series with what he's done and maybe even in the playoffs than Cale Makar?
Yeah, no, he is legit. He is like, the kind of modern day Paul Coffey. If you know who that is, then good for you.
I do.
Yeah, he's just the real deal. Like you talk about like offensive defensemen and defensemen who act as forwards, but he's actually like, he's like having an extra forward on the ice. And the thing is, like, he's actually a very good defensive defenseman too, just because of how well he skates. So no, he's probably going to win the MVP. And he'd be deserving of it as well. I don't even know if those odds are up anymore. I don't think they are, but very impressive. I don't really have a prop for him. Actually, if I was doing point props, I'd probably go to a guy like Nikushkin over 0.5 points.
Minus 600.
Is he at minus 600 to win?
Yeah, for the Conn Smythe.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, I'm not shocked. I didn't think it would be that low, but that's he's really picked it up as the series has gone on. So Nikushkin over 1 point or over 0.5 points, minus 130 is something you can think about too.
All right. Well, we're going to have to get out of here. There are more Sims on the way. Of course, Madden Sims and Simland, the very next one, 6:00 Eastern, a few minutes from now, the Rams and the Cardinals. So enjoy that. Matt Stafford and Kyler Murray duking it out. We miss Simland. We miss all of you here with us in the YouTube chat, Twitch, Twitter, wherever you're finding us, telling you how much you're enjoying still hearing these voices, seeing these faces. We do appreciate that. And, Julian Edlow joined us earlier, Jeff Ulrich, Reid Fowler. Hope you all had a wonderful Father's Day. That was just a few days ago. Probably wasn't restful or relaxing, but I do hope it was a good time, guys.
Fantastic.
It was great.
Good. I'm happy to hear it. Thanks to Daniel, to Eamon. I'm Adam. We'll see you again tomorrow. Baseball talk on the way, and maybe even some more golf and hockey and who knows what else. We'll see you.